Hey everybody, welcome to Novel Thoughts. I'm here to do the book habits tag that I created, and I'm doing it just so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better and some of my habits and things I like to do when it comes to reading and having books. So I have my little owl mug here, and in it I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to be drawing and answering, and let's get started. First one. Okay, so do I prefer to buy books or check out books from the library? I like owning books. I really like collecting books, but there's also a certain thrill to going to the library and picking out an armful of books and walking out super proud of all the books you're about to read and all that excitement. And so I really do like both. But I'm actually super excited because last night my husband and I went and got local library cards, and I'm really happy to have it. So it also has a flying knight on it, so I'm super stoked about that. He's flying with a book in his hands, and that's just like super cool. So yeah, libraries rock, but I like buying books. They're both great. Next question. One random fact about you and books. Okay, well, this is a bit more of a confession than a random fact. So I collect names, and I don't have kids yet, but I really like thinking of names I like for future kids, and a lot of those happen to come from characters I like. For example, the most recent one was Gabriel from Far From the Madding Crowd, and I now absolutely love that name. Yeah! Confession / random fact for all of you guys. Hopefully other people do that too. Next one. The first book I read twice. The answer is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Okay. Do you annotate? Why or why not? This kind of goes back to the first question about whether I prefer buying books or checking out books from the library. The answer is yes. I annotate everything. If I'm reading, it doesn't matter if it's a book, a manual, a sheet of paper, I'm probably going to end up annotating it, and I actually will occasionally have minor conniptions if I don't have a pen with me. Why do I annotate? A couple reasons. First of all, when I'm reading the book, I really like being able to have the freedom to write down my first impressions or my initial reactions. I also sometimes just like underlining or bracketing certain parts of the text because I was stunned by the beauty of how it was written, or the theme really stuck out to me, or the idea was really important, or something I never heard of before. Half of the fun for me is thinking about what I've just read after the fact. If the book doesn't have enough to think about after I've put it down, I tend to like it a little bit less, and one way to know if I've really been moved or impacted by a book is to go back and look at my annotations and then think about them and come to conclusions or new understandings or new ideas by doing that. And so I absolutely love annotating. But this can get me into trouble sometimes. Back to the library question. This is why it's difficult to check out books for me instead of just buying them, because I will literally annotate everything whether or not it is mine, which is something, it's a habit I've curbed recently. I don't really borrow books from other people for that reason, but I did recently. I borrowed a book from Confab with Abs, and I did not write on it without her permission, so that's good. But there was one instance that was rather embarrassing, and it's when I checked out A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith from my university's library, and I honestly, like, I was here. Like, I was that far through this book when I was in the car and my husband was driving, and he turns over and he's like, "Natalie, why are you writing in that book?" And I'm like, you know me, I love annotating. It's like, "Natalie, that's a library book." And I was like, oh my gosh. You're right. This is not my book. I don't know what to do. And I was actually more distraught about the fact that I couldn't keep my annotations than by the fact that I'd written in a library book. And so I proceeded to take pictures of every annotation I'd made, kept them, bought my own book, and then transposed them into this book. I am a obsessed annotator. It's a thing. So next question. Do book covers affect what you are willing to read? Kind of, yes. So I laugh at this one because my reading life is very wrapped up in my husband's and my reading habits. We read books together and we talk about our books to each other, and he and I are in very different camps. He thinks a book cover should never affect how you feel about a book because of the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. I, on the other hand, really love beautiful covers. I mean, who doesn't love beautiful covers? But I also happen to be an editor, and I've done a very fractional amount of studying of book publishing. And so because of that, I have this marketing perspective where, why on earth would you put a crappy cover on a book and expect people to read it? You know? And so I try so hard to remain unbiased with book covers. But I really do just prefer beautiful book covers. And it is hard for me to want to read a book if it doesn't have a beautiful book cover, even though I know that the cover doesn't necessarily affect the quality of the text inside. It's still hard for me to want to read it. So yes, book covers do affect my willingness to read books. Second to last question, the penultimate question. Do you carry books and a book bag around with you? So the answer is also yes. You have already seen this in another one of my videos. I think it was my August TBR, and in that video I had the desperate attempt of keeping my book bag dry. This is my book bag. It is a bag my husband bought for me from an Arabic man in Jerusalem, and it is hand carved and crafted, leather, gorgeous. So I love this book bag. So almost always, I'll just show you what's in my book bag right now. I'll have a book. This is Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett. And I will almost always have a journal as well. This is my leather journal from my little brother. Including a pen, because you have to annotate. So yes, I carry around books with me. I always have to have a book, because if I leave the house, I feel so ill-prepared if I don't have a book. Even if I don't read it, even if I don't use it. Sometimes I'll even have up to 3 books with me because I just don't know which one I'll want to read. And it doesn't matter if I don't have time, I have to have it anyway. And so I always have my bag, and I always have my books in it, and probably a journal, and most definitely a pen. Last ultimate question. That was redundant. So, do I have a book I read annually? So far the answer is no. I have always thought that that was a rather romantic idea to always read a book at Christmas time. Oh! Yes, actually. This is not what I would really it is a story. I've always read The Forgotten Carols at Christmas time because it was a book my dad really liked and we had a copy, and so I've always read it on Christmas Eve every Christmas since I was a kid. But as far as a novel, so far no. And so if I were to start reading a book annually as of like now, I would probably read The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. That is a book I think I could definitely read once a year for the rest of my life. I love that book. Okay guys, so the owl mug is empty, and hopefully you feel like you know a little bit more about me and my book habits. I also want all of you guys to leave your answers in the comments so that I can get to know you guys and your reading habits. So thanks for coming. If you guys want to subscribe, there will be a button like right here. And I will see you guys more later. Bye!